Let's try it again. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Chris Riley Show.
Featuring chopped and liver.
You almost did it.
I couldn't use the Chris Riley background today. One, because you can't see it, and two, because it says Chris Riley with that guy Glenn, or with that Glenn guy, whatever. But we also have the James guy today, and I didn't have a chance to make a new one.
That's okay. Like nobody here actually cares about me.
Well, and again, if I turn it on, wherever that was here, you can't see it. It's hidden back there. So I just left the regular. So I do need to make a new banner, though, because it is no longer Project Talk with James and Glenn, or Glenn and James, or however it is. It's just Project Talk with whoever happens to show up.
Did you advertise anywhere that Chris is going to be here?
I did throw a tweet out and tagged him in it so that anybody that follows him would also see it. So we should see a few names that we don't necessarily regularly see because you and I suck and Chris doesn't.
No. I maintain that Chris also sucks. I got to keep him humble. If everybody just props him up, then it's going to go to his
I'm not
head.
going to disagree with you. Most of the time, I'm not great.
It's real easy. It's really easy to fix your suckiness in post. That's what I've learned in life.
I record the video, I hand it to my wife, and say, "Make the magic happen."
Oh, you have an editor.
Wow.
Living the sweet life.
Dumped all that off on her.
To be fair,
constantly asks if there's anything she could do to help out to grow the channel, and I'm like, you could learn to edit, and she's like, anything but that.
to be fair, I'm in negotiations with my wife to take over the social media aspect of my YouTube channels, because I generally don't have access to social media during the day when I'm working, and when I do have it, I actually see like jumps in growth when I'm able to like actively post content and stuff outside of like regular videos.
Yeah, I could definitely use a social media manager because I suck at social media.
Well, I'm sure that Kay would do it for you for the right price.
Oh, it pays exactly nothing.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm
probably
also broke.
not. But
I suck at social media, but I also don't have any money. So
you gotta spend money to make money, Glenn.
You get a free Fun King Garage sticker each month as I get new ones in.
Don't say take it. Those stickers aren't cheap.
No, well, I only buy them when Sticker Mule does a discount. Like whatever their special is, that's the sticker I buy. Variety that way. You know, it's never the same sticker twice.
Variety is the spice of life. Just don't use that as an excuse for cheating.
That's right.
I thought that was salt.
Let me run down the chat real fast before it gets out of hand, which it already is. That's why I like to do it right away. And then there's only like 5 people because there's already 21 watching. Whew. So Nadav is here, and of course, bragging rights being first. Andy is here. Ben Stanley is here. That's a new name to me. At least I think it is. Ben, have you been here before, or are you just here for the Chris Riley? Scott McClellan is here. Sergio is here. Alan Osborne is here. Mitch 3D is here. Mike Never Let the Machines Win. 3D HP, Ollie, Bob Carnes, Clint, Mad Monkey, Lester, Local Maker Michigan, Tom Lama, Sanders 3D, Tom Elrod. I feel like I'm going to miss some people or repeat some people, so I don't care. At my age, I can get away with it. Lester, Tony, Ryan, Brian, and that's it. So anybody that comes in from now on, unless they're like super amazing, forget it.
Like Elon Musk.
Yeah, so Chris Riley reached out to me on the Twitters today and said, "Hey, do you have a slot open for today's stream?" And I said, "Give me a minute, I got to check the schedule." So then I said to him, "Yeah, for you, I got a slot." And then I told him, I said, I had Elon Musk booked for the day, but I told him that he was going to have to reschedule.
Why have Elon Musk when we can have the Chris Riley?
Yeah.
The Chris Riley.
Except no
You missed me.
substitutes.
No, I didn't. I called you out very first and gave you props for being first. I'm
No,
going to ban you. I'm just
Nadav
gonna ban
means
you
like
right now.
Nadav means you missed them as like
Oh,
an
like
emotional
it's
thing.
been a week?
Yeah.
Oh, my heart weighs heavy.
The old joke is, did you miss me? But rather than ask, they decide to assume.
Oh, so it is. Sounds like it might have let up now, but it is storming like crazy here. It's been an every afternoon thing. Well, since the dawn of time, because this is Florida. But like lately, it's been the last 3 or 4 days. Everything is great up until about 2:30 in the afternoon, and then the skies just open up and pours. No, I can hear it starting up again. See, I said something, but power wise, we should be okay. I have battery backups in here. Everything's on battery backup. So as long as it doesn't stay out too long, we should be okay. And my internet is fixed. I'm going to blame it. I'm going to blame it on the ends that I used for the cabling, because they were a different type than I'm used to. So it's the ends fault, not me. Not
Hold on
because
2
I
seconds.
did them wrong. Like just the ends. Andy throwing down 5 pounds because we guys are awesome. Thank you, Andy. It is greatly, greatly appreciated. It didn't chime. It showed up over here, but I didn't hear the chime. I asked
Didn't it-
that, like you guys know. Like,
Wasn't the chime like delayed last week?
yeah, but usually it's on time with when it pops up in Streamlabs. It's just usually Streamlabs is delayed. So I don't know. Bing. Now I got to see if I have a banner. Yes, I do. There's Andy's banner.
Chris, what are you working on?
I am currently repairing. Well, I'm assembling a new V6 hot end because I completely trashed another one. So I like to prepare these and get some compound on them and let them dry for a while before I go putting them in things. And it's just a great excuse for me to stand here and do something. So
That's fair.
yeah.
Well, that's kind of how these streams got started, wasn't it?
That's right.
To do the things that you didn't want to do otherwise.
All this little stuff that has to be done.
Yeah. My problem is I don't even want to do that stuff now. Like,
I know.
I have to put my screwdriver away. I'm making sure that, because I get new kits and I lose the important bits within like hours usually. You playing with the music again?
It's funny. Just yesterday, somebody was like, "You need background music on your stream," and I was like, "Well, that's like the first time I've ever heard that in 6 years." And then, so I said, "Oh, I'll think about that. That might be interesting." And then all these comments in the comments like, "Don't add music. That's horrible." And it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny that that they've got it now. So.
Well, it's also really difficult to play music in the background because you got to be so super careful.
Yep.
Yeah.
What you pick, so that you
Even
don't
what you
get
even what you hum.
copyright struck. What's that, James?
Even what you hum.
Yeah. Well, I've been trying to research that. As far as like if you sing a couple of lyrics in a song or whatever, but
Well, why don't you sing something popular right now? And we'll just see what happens with the stream.
no, I need the 9 cents that I'm going to get off of this.
Wait, Chris is the musician. We'll get Chris to sing.
Yeah.
He can wheel out his drum set.
That would be really bad because then they would consider it professional.
I can't even play the music that I own the copyright to. There's too much paperwork.
Really?
Yeah. Like YouTube will strike it, and then I have to like fill out all this paperwork to claim it.
Yeah. Well, see, Sean and I had a problem the first couple of Fummins videos that came out. There was one song that I got from Audio Hero, and I have a subscription to Audio Hero through TubeBuddy, which TubeBuddy's amazing. If anybody wants it, hit me up. I got an affiliate link. But you do get Audio Hero for free through there, and it's all copyright free music as long as you're a member of Audio Hero. And there was one particular song that got like they claimed it immediately upon upload. And because of the timing of when the video was uploaded versus when it had to be released, I didn't have time to like take it out. So I fought the copyright and won because it legitimately belonged to Audio Hero, and Audio Hero was amazing. Like they stepped up and sent off all of this, information and stuff to get it turned around. Well, that song got used again like 2 episodes later, same problem.
Huh.
So that was at that point I just banned that from any of the videos. Like it just isn't worth the amount of hassle that you have to go through to.
Exactly. That's exactly my experience. It's just not worth it.
Like the first thing, like they're like prove to us that you know it isn't ours. And so like I wrote in there, it isn't. It absolutely does not belong to you. Prove to me that it is yours. The song that they said that it was, like I couldn't even find a copy of that song anywhere online to hear it to see if it was even close. Like they were claiming a song that didn't exist. So
I've seen all sorts of controversy even this week about the YouTube copyright system because they started a company's put in basically flags for music that's public domain from like the 1910s and lower.
awesome.
And there's a guide on YouTube that says like a guide in the YouTube documentation that says like music older than I think it's 100 years when it runs off or whatever.
Yeah.
But that didn't stop from. I want to say Sony, but I'm not guaranteeing it's Sony, so I won't say Sony. I'm going, oh yeah, no, that's ours.
Well,
And
don't say
the
it's
worst part
Sony,
is
but it's Sony.
the worst part is because like they like you said they put this is the song that matched on. The
Right.
song even had 1910 in the brackets, and it's like, well, that's 113 years old, and 13 years or 112 years old, and 12 years too old to have been copyrighted. But no.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think there's only like 2 companies that actually own music copyrights anymore: Sony and I don't know, Time Warner or whoever, Disney.
There's
whoever
like
they are now.
I want to say it's BMG, but that probably isn't. But it's like 3 initials is who came after me.
AMI maybe.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think AMI is one of the ones.
Yeah, good stuff.
Lester said, just play 100-year-old classical music, no copyright. Yeah, in fact, my latest Fummins video used Barbara Seville because it was kind of a dramatic time, so I wanted to have some dramatic classical music in there.
I do recall, and I was like, that's so much different than any of the other music you've put me.
That's probably one of the hardest things that I go through with editing. Like I get done editing, and then I spend a whole nother session, like 6 to 8 hours, just trying to pick good music for where it is, and it doesn't always work out, but you know.
I have to find the music first because like I know that it's the right music like 2 seconds into the song. I'm like, yep, that's it. And then I'll listen to a little bit more to make sure it kind of fits, and then I can edit.
Yeah.
It's kind of strange because
now,
like the second I find it, it's like, yep, that's the one.
So how long between when you start editing and when you finished filming though?
Right.
Because I mean,
mine
it's
is pretty quick.
Yeah,
you know,
this
like
is a
less than a week.
secret. Like, you know, I don't want the world to know this, but you know, my truck's been done for months.
Yeah.
So I'm going back and seeing footage that I haven't seen in, you know, 6 or 7 months. So, but generally what I do is once I get the content edited out and I go, okay, well, I need some music in here. So I don't know. Are you a Premiere user? Adobe Premiere?
No, I'm not.
The new Premiere, you can now do what's called remix. You can remix the song and tell it like, oh, I need this to be 4 minutes and 20 seconds long. And it will either extend it or shorten it. And it does a pretty good job of it. But
cool.
but like I'll play the clip. I'll start playing the clip and then I'll play the song that I think I want off of Audio Hero. And like I'll kind of like watch them together and I'll be like, nah, that doesn't fit.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Riley, why don't you tell us about this? What was it called? Murphy? Murph. Yeah, Murph.
In there.
Yeah.
Well, gather round, kids. So Murph was a good time as usual, but you know it's also exhausting. Like everybody that's been to Murph knows that feeling. It was a pretty good turnout. You know, they were in this much larger building. I guess they were in there last year, but there was only like 5 people that showed up. But this year it was a really good turnout. I think all of the sponsored tables were taken up. Duet, you know, there were some international folks. Duet came, E3D came, Jason Reldio was there, Filament PM. So from far and wide they came to Murph, so it was good. Got to see a lot of the community members. The only thing that they really didn't have, like compared to like 2019, is they weren't doing any of the events. So like they didn't have open RC races. They didn't have any of the talks. You know how like, there's a lot of folks that would give up and, talk about different things. They didn't have any of that stuff. So that was kind of a bummer, but I mean, I guess I understand, in the brave new world that we're in, they didn't put any of that together. But there was I don't know if you all follow Sam Prentice or you see his stuff. He has these death racers. They're basically Rock'em Sock'em robots, only they're RC cars, and they punch each other's heads off.
Yeah, John Strand tagged me in those.
Yeah, so that was a lot of fun to see them go at it. So that's always good.
Yeah,
But
it's neat when somebody comes up with something new like that.
right.
pushing the limits. What couple ERFs back, I don't know if it was the first ERF or the one where we were there as FKB, but where like everybody was doing the high powered Nerf guns. There was the two different companies with and that was kind of the hot thing that year. That was pretty cool. And so
yeah.
Dan said, "What is this? A random Riley?"
I've been on 3 live streams this weekend. I'm trying to go for a record. So I was on my own, and then I was over at Jerry's 3D HP, and then I'm on this one. So
that's just nuts.
I'm everywhere, all over the internet. It's crazy. I'm trying to make up for the 8 months I didn't go to live streams at all. Well, I went to yours once. That would be it.
Yeah.
But it was good. It was good.
I'm kind of sad that I wasn't able to go. I mean, not for any other reason than to see the people.
Yeah.
Because it's no secret that I'm completely burnt out on 3D printing, and I don't care about it anymore. No, that's not true.
I mean, that seems accurate to me.
No, it still comes in very handy when I need things. But yeah, I mean, obviously my goals have shifted in life, but I mean, a lot of the people that go there are still family to me. So I would like to have got to see some people, but then I hear about all these cases of COVID and I'm like, oh, I'm glad I didn't go.
Well, I mean, that is very true. We got very lucky. We tested all week. My wife went with me. We tested all week and we're all good. So we got lucky on that, but not everybody did. So hopefully they're all getting better as we speak.
I have seen people calling it a super spreader event. I don't know what the requirement for that is, unless it's just somebody calls it a super spreader event.
Now, I'm not saying that anybody did Murph incorrectly now, but I can tell you how I did Murph this year, and I think every night that I was there, I was asleep by 10 o'clock.
That's because you're getting older.
Yeah, man. Like, we went and, I'd hang out with Walter or whatever, and we'd go, we'd be in the lobby or whatever I wasn't one of the 3 a.m. people, but, we'd hang out for a while. It's like, man, by the time we got back to the hotel at 9 o'clock or whatever, I couldn't even hold myself up anymore. I just had to go to bed.
Yep. I actually didn't realize that Walter was there this year.
He wasn't there this year, but I'm talking like in the past, but.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah, that early bedtime comes with age, Chris.
Oh man, I'm telling you, it hit hard this time. Get sleep.
Yeah, like I go to sleep at 10 o'clock every night so that I can get up and go to work the next day. But it's like 9:45 and my eyes are rolling around. I'm like, I gotta go to sleep.
Gets earlier every day, it feels like too.
Lester said, how much for the FK1? $1 million.
$1 million.
And then I can completely run away from 3D printing and put all that money into Fun King Garage.
I don't know if you guys remember, just while I'm designing something while we're chatting, a little while ago I designed a piece that goes in line with my filter pump for the pool so that I can connect a vacuum to it even though it's not designed to have one.
Right.
So that worked, but the piece I made is like too small to do it effectively. Like we have to empty it multiple times during a vacuum. So now I'm going to print one that takes up pretty much the full bed on the Prusa, so that I can do this all in one shot and improve on all the issues that I've run into since I did that initial version.
Well, see, that's the huge benefit to rapid prototyping.
Plus, I don't think anybody will ever make a piece that does what I'm trying to do. So
you should make that piece and then become rich and famous.
I don't want to be responsible for people messing up their own stuff.
I should probably pay better attention to chat.
Why, did we miss something?
I don't know because I'm not paying attention.
We did miss some bad news from Tony. He said that, I believe he said that he caught it, and also his wife has been ill, so the two of them are currently separated, if I remembering everything properly.
Caught the COVIDs?
Well, I think he caught the COVID, but I think his wife's got a form of cancer.
Oh.
So he said, so I went to a family reunion yesterday because I had a rough couple of weeks, and then got a message from my cousin this morning that her boyfriend tested positive for COVID. So now I have to isolate for 5 days, and my wife is getting discharged from the hospital tomorrow after chemo from lymphoma. So I dropped a message in chat, but I think we definitely want to send our, I don't know, healing vibes.
Thoughts and prayers, brother. Thoughts and prayers.
Yep.
Oh, and then everybody just goes, thanks for bringing the stream down. No.
Well, you know.
I like this comment that Dan made. Don't ever forget it either. I am my biggest fan. I think everything I do is funny.
One of my favorite conversations ever with Glenn was trying to express how I was perceiving his channel name in front of his very small children. Like,
why
so Glenn, you're
are you out of your Fun King mind?
I just always tell people when that question comes up, there is a space between the N and the K. It's really only gotten me in trouble one time, which it was weird. When I signed up for my Instagram account for Fun King Garage, they would not let me post. They kept deleting my uploads, saying that I was breaking the rules. And the only thing, like, they kept referring me to this article, which was like 35 pages of gibberish as far as I'm concerned. Instead of just telling me, what the problem is,
right.
You're not following our community guidelines. Well, I'm sorry, your community guidelines are crap. So, but it came down to, because I had a link in my bio to funkingarage.com, and apparently that flagged it, because as soon as I took it out, I could post. So I made, like, I don't know, 10 posts over the next couple weeks, and then I put the link back in, and it's been fine. But what's weird is Fun King 3D has had a link in the bio since the moment I started it, and there was never a problem there. So, don't know. Maybe after I create, because obviously I've had my Fun King 3D one for years now. I don't really ever upload anything because Instagram's not really the place for 3D printing people. But maybe once I created that account, they got wind of who I was, seen what I do, and then they said, no more accounts for this guy.
He's out.
This guy definitely does not follow our community guidelines. So I don't know. So, Lester said, sorry, I seem to have misplaced my credit card. That's okay. I also take PayPal, cash, Bitcoin, even though it's crapping out right now. Don't care.
It'll go back up eventually.
I hope so, because I had some, and I was going to sell it, and my buddy of mine talked me into keeping it, and it's dropped like 75% since then. So
yeah, but there's so many people that are vested in it. It's got to go back up.
Yeah.
Do not take that as financial advice. I'm just saying.
Glenn is not a financial panther.
I'm not. I bought Shiba Inu. I have 17 million of them. At one point, they were worth $1,400, and I almost sold them, and I didn't. Now they're worth $200. I can't even tell you what the value is on it, because there's so many zeros between the decimal point and the first digit that, like, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah. I wish I could say that I don't know that pain, but I do all too well.
You guys.
Tony Ryan said, sorry to be a bummer. No, I'm not saying that you were a bummer, Tony. That's James, because he brought it up. So, no.
It's better to just ignore everybody else's pain, right, Glenn?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If they say in the chat, just pretend like they're a spammer and, you know. There's Sergio throwing down $19.99 US cents towards the new garage door fund. That puts me like just over $100. I did actually find a company that they're based not far from here, so I don't have to pay delivery, and their prices are fantastic. So I may have a garage door sooner rather than later, because this one, this one takes every bit of my body weight to get it to open, and if I lose any weight, I won't be able to open the door. Thank you, Sergio. It is greatly, greatly appreciated.
That made me think of something. Somebody came up, you know, I get a lot of people that come up to me, and I don't mind, but this is just a Chris Riley scenario when you go to Murph or Earth. People come up to me and like, I have a question and only you can help. I'm like, okay. And you know, like after the 10th time that day, I'm like, what? Need something off a high shelf?
I have a really bad toenail hangnail. Could you get that for me?
I only play a doctor on TV. So I have a question for you guys, because you guys are smart guys and you know stuff.
When somebody butters me up that bad, it usually means no bueno for me, but go ahead.
That means you're gonna know. So you do a lot of electronics and things like that. You know those little tiny in-stop micro switches like are on the old school red PCB with the light, the little bitty switch that are made to go on PCBs with the fine pins?
Yep.
Yeah, little tiny ones. I want some of those that aren't made for PCBs, that actually have a proper ear on the back. Do you know if you can get them that small that aren't made to go as a component? I've never seen one.
I don't think I've ever seen one. I would think the way to go about that is DigiKey. What's the other one? Mouse or electronics. I mean, if one of those two has a listing for it, then you know it exists, and if they don't, then chances are.
Yeah, it's like, you know, when you get on, well, one, it's way easier to ask somebody, you know, than to actually do any work. But two, when you get on there, it's like, you know, wading through the ocean of parts.
Exactly. There are so many.
Yeah.
Well, the other option too is download EagleCAD and pull through their library.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. I could not find. I did go through McMaster Car and try to find one that was that way.
That's just like wading through DigiKey.
Yeah, exactly. So I did try, but that doesn't really mean anything, right? My fix was I cut down a piece of PCB so it just has 5 holes. It's just a little thing, and then I matched it up with some wires on there, which will work, but it would be a little more elegant if it actually had a proper solder terminal on it.
Well, I think we're talking about the switches. Like there's one that's 4-pin that's round, right? And then there's a 2-pin and it's like a small rectangle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the problem with that is if it had solder lugs instead, how would you mount it?
Well, and that's what I'm wondering. Like, is there one that's just a little bit wider or something maybe? Because the height wouldn't bother me. It's the length that I really would like to have.
Yeah, because like the all of the micro switches that we use that we're familiar with. Yeah, put your hand up behind it. There you go.
There you go.
Oh yeah, that's a pretty small one.
Yeah, it's tiny, but this is the one that I've put the PCB on it just to throw some wires down.
Okay, can I see the switch side of it?
That's actually bigger. That's bigger than the switch I was thinking about.
That's not the one I was picturing. But okay, you're talking about the ones those are mounted to a circuit board and they usually have the lever on them.
Right.
They use for limiting switches.
Yeah, I ripped the lever, the Canadian lever, off of this one.
the maple lever.
2000.
It's the maple lever.
Maple lever. The other day, and I'm glad that I came on this stream with my best friend, the Canadian. The other day, my wife is always reading articles on her phone, and then she has to read them to me. I don't know if anybody else experiences this, but hey, that's my life.
That's
So she was reading 10 things to know that Canadians say. like if you're visiting Canada, and I knew them all except now I'm gonna forget what it is. Freezy. I'd never heard Freezy before.
Oh, you guys, I think also call them Ices or Mr. Freeze or Freeze Pops.
Yeah,
or...
like the little push-up popsicles or whatever they
yeah,
are.
the ones that come in the clear plastic tube.
Yeah, I never heard them called Freezy, so that's the only one I didn't know. So I felt pretty good about myself. I knew Took, and I knew Tutu, two coffee, two creams, two sugars, whatever
Double.
Double. That's right. Yeah.
I like how you're like, I knew, and then you said it wrong.
Yeah. Well, I'm
knew that...
not going to be able to say them right, but I know what they're talking about.
I would probably get most of them right, I would imagine.
Yeah. Well, of course, like somebody said 2-4, and I was like, well, that's a case of beer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, we call it a 2-4 here for beer as well.
Yeah. But anyway, I thought that was pretty interesting. That happened recently, and I had to tell James about it. So.
Well, good job, the Chris Riley.
Yeah, I try. I'm
really
an international man
came on today.
of 3D printing.
He just wanted to show off his Canadian abilities.
Yeah. He had no other reason to be here. He's like, and he waited, a half hour to slip that in.
Yeah, just so it wasn't super obvious.
Right. I didn't want to blurt it out right away.
That's fair. Well, that's 100% fair.
I couldn't help but notice that you absolutely stole the workbench design from me. With the light wood grain.
I did. I actually saw some of those at Harbor Freight one day, and I'm like, no, they got too many holes. Glenn's always trying to cap them.
Well, it just gave me a reason to print stuff. In fact, I printed all of these on stream. Like,
I remember you filling them week after week.
Yeah, I just print it out and plug them in. So, but they've gotten so expensive for what they are now, though. I mean, everything has, but
yeah.
No,
yeah, it would take a lot for me to give up this table. I don't want to rebuild it.
Yeah, well, it's got a good depth to it, and of course, your camera is a lot further back than mine. But
yeah,
like I bring people in to look at this, not this.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to hide that aspect.
No matter what I do, I'm never quite satisfied with the set that I've prepared for myself.
Mike said, "Glenn invented the workbench." No, I didn't invent the workbench. I came up with the idea of using light blonde colored wood slat work. No, not really. I got these when I worked at Harbor Freight. I don't know if I should tell this story publicly, but the manager of the store that I worked at, he's not at that store anymore, but like he would not sell anything with a damaged box or like our open box shelf was always empty because he would send stuff back before he would sell it. Like he didn't want the junk in the store. The store was always super clean and nice and probably the best Harbor Freight ever.
I was going to say then it wouldn't be a Harbor Freight if the boxes weren't damaged.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and so these would come off the truck damaged because they would damage them in the warehouse and they would damage them loading them and stuff. So as we were unloading them, all of a sudden the boxes would have big tears in them, and pay no attention to the fact that I worked the truck. Like, oh, look, this one's torn. No, I didn't really do that. But so like.
Yeah, for legal purposes, that was never a thing that happened.
No, but like all of the employees, we had a list. We had a list hanging on a clipboard, like whoever was next to get one. And then all of a sudden we got a batch of like 8 of them that the boxes were just trashed on them. And there wasn't that many employees working. And I ended up with 3 of them in one day. So, I mean, it became the joke that the dumpster was the big black Ford parked out back.
But that wasn't because of that. That was just because it was a Ford, right?
Right, because of the 6.4 liter diesel that was in it. But
they all knew it was going to die on you soon.
But no, that's why I have these 2 here. There's one out in the garage that Sean was using. I gave 2 to my mom. I have another one in my other garage for my RC car stuff. I want to say there's another one around here, but now I can't remember. But Yep.
Good times and happy days.
Yeah, that's probably the main reason that I miss working at Harbor Freight was like the day that we did all of the go backs, because you'd enter it through the computer, the little scanner, and sometimes it would tell you to put it into the shipping box, the Gaylord container, and sometimes it would tell you to destroy it and dispose of it. So I would come home with pockets of like screw bits and drill bits and rivets. Holy crap, did I come home with rivets, because the package would tear open and all the rivets would just be laying out. So I just scoop them up and put them in my pocket.
Oh, somebody mentioned. I had just a flash of a thought. Somebody mentioned the other day something about a 6.4 liter, and I got it just like for 5 seconds. I was trying to do the math in cubic inches. Is that 396?
390, I believe.
390.
Yeah, because Ford, the Ford FE Big Block, I want to say it's the 390.
Because I want to say like 7 liter is 427, but I used to line those up for some reason in my head. But
yeah, the Ford 390 was a 6.4 liter.
390.
It's 390.04 cubic inch for that particular one.
Well, there we go. Now I have another useless piece of knowledge in my head.
There you go. But see, I've had a hard time because I came up when it was all about the Chevy 350,
right,
5.7.
Yep.
And the 7.4, but it wasn't. It was a 350 and a 454 and and then all of a sudden people start with all this CC and stuff, and then I got my Eagle Talon, which is a 2 liter, and I'm like, was that? It's like 12
194 or something.
Like 12 cubic inches.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I mean, and that's how I came up too. It's like everybody. It was like, the war against.
The metric system.
Well, 30. It depends what side of the house you were on, Ford or Chevy. But it was like, well, I got a 302 or a 350 or a 327. You had the 327 guys that were like, oh, it's the best thing ever. And then you got into big blocks, right? And that was a whole different side of things. But
yep.
Yeah, good stuff.
Tony Ryan said Ford 390 is a thing. Yeah, I knew. I just didn't know if it was the 390 that was the 6.4 liter. My Thunderbird originally had a 390 in it, not when I got it. When I got it, it came with a 460 block. But if anybody's got to run on a good 390 that runs, I'm willing to travel a little bit to get it. I need a motor that runs, and I need it before, in the next few months. I'm going to get that car running for sick week. I haven't even dug it out of the dirt yet. I don't know how bad a shape it's in. It's been sitting for so long.
Are you going to do the pulling it out of there as a video, or are you going to do it on a live stream?
No, I'm going to video pulling it out of there.
Okay. Why not both?
Oh, that would be a hard live stream.
It'd be fun, though.
I'm afraid that project's going to make me drop the F-bomb. Oh, I was working on something the other day.
The other day? Chris Riley's not going to understand that reference. I bet you he hasn't watched that show. Chris, have you ever watched Letterkenny? It's a show about the life in Canada.
No, I've never watched that show.
Oh, you have to watch Letterkenny.
It is.
Holy crap. It's so funny.
It starts off pretty funny and then just continually gets funnier. And it's the point now, it's a show that's, I don't want to be too, it is filmed very close to where I grew up. Like I have pictures at a lot of the places that are there. And it's a show that gained so much popularity for like a Northern Ontario TV show that there's actually a spin-off that Bell Canada paid to make called, there's been 2 spin-offs now from it. And it's just a very accurate portrayal of life in Sudbury, Ontario.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah. But they start off many of the episodes. It'll be like the very first episode, like a couple of hockey players came down the laneway the other day, and it's like the main character's sister is dating 2 hockey players who are best friends, and so they show up to drop her off, and they're scared of them, so they don't like drive down the laneway. They drop her off and then walk them up, and Anyways, the first scene is just gold. It's actually on YouTube. I'll link it to you.
Yeah, a laneway, by the way, Chris, is a driveway in Canada.
No, well, there is a difference. A driveway, like a laneway, is when it's an extended, like when your house is well removed. So like it wouldn't all be considered parking. So like we have a driveway because it's only a 2-car driveway, but you have to have a real long road like driveway for it to be
Ooh,
considered.
and then I have a laneway. I'm excited.
Yeah, congratulations. Okay, so here's what we should do. I should send a link to Chris for that opening scene, and he should put on a set of headphones and watch it so that we don't get copyright infringement. We can watch his reaction to Canadian life. It's only like a 2-minute clip. It's perfect for this.
Chris Riley.
I'm looking it up. Like this started off as a joke, but now I've decided that we should go for it.
Reacts to Letterkenny.
Reaction videos.
I guess I should ask Chris, would you be interested in doing that for the live stream?
Probably not. But
okay. Well, there you go.
I mean, maybe someday. First, I'd have to find a pair of headphones. I haven't had any in I don't know how long.
Yeah, you can't watch them
alternatively, you could just mute your microphone.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, but anyways, that can wait.
Well, Tony Ryan says his dad has 2 390s in his shop. It's just in Washington State. That's no problem. I can't even imagine what that would cost me to drive to Washington State and back at this point.
Is there a further place in the contiguous United States that you could drive? Probably
not without going to Alaska.
Yeah.
No, that would be pretty much diagonal across the country.
Yep, that's it.
And I don't believe there's a highway that runs diagonally. Like you'd have to kind of jaunt around somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I put $70 worth of diesel in the truck. It's been a couple weeks ago now, but it got me a quarter of a tank.
Wow.
Yeah. But the good news is I haven't put fuel in it since then because I don't really drive it that much. I mean, I don't drive it at all. I'm still working on putting a Cummins in it.
Yeah.
That sounds completely accurate, and I believe you.
Yeah. Chris Lane said apparently that bridge to Hawaii hasn't started yet either. It's a tunnel. It's not a bridge. It's a tunnel. Can't stop the boats.
Chris, I linked it to you for later on the Twitters.
All right. Thank you.
I'm helpful.
I will watch it.
Yeah, it's good. It's good, funny stuff. Yeah, it was one of those. They started on YouTube, and now Hulu picked it up.
Nice.
Though it was a lot. I think it was funnier when it was on YouTube. Like I think the older stuff is funnier than Hulu. Always ruins everything. Not Hulu corporate.
Yeah.
I mean, ever since James and I got our big sponsor, these streams just aren't the same either.
Sure, we sold out and
It's gone downhill. Have either of you watched the 60 seconds, the Joel telling Murph video from this year?
No.
Yeah, I'm on there, but I am by far not the best segment. They did Mikolas from Prusa does the interview of the Prusa booth, and it's like probably the greatest 60 seconds ever filmed because he's like literally jumping. He's actually jumping from thing to thing. And at some point he's like, "This is our new enclosure. It encloses things," and he crams his head in it. It's one of the most entertaining segments I've seen in a long time. I love that guy.
Yeah, it's really, I've gotten to the point where like I have YouTube running in the background during the day, all automotive based stuff. And then I get done with work at 3, and by 3:00 and 15 seconds, I'm out of there. I don't want to be on that computer anymore.
Yeah.
So, which, it's really weird for me because, God, since the 90s, I've lived on that computer, but I would much rather be out in the 96-degree heat with 90% humidity, turning wrenches, breaking knuckles, getting dirty. Oh, it was the lawnmower. That's what I was working on. I put a new deck on my lawnmower, and I broke one of the bolts that hold the blade hub on.
Yeah.
Like just didn't even hit it hard, and it just sheared off. And if it had been any other bolt, fine, but it's a bolt that holds the blade on, so it's like Yeah, there was a few times where the F word was flying, but I didn't film that project, so you guys don't get to see that.
So now what? Do you have to take the hub off and drill it out, or can you drill it
Yeah,
out where it is?
I only bought the weldment for the deck, so I was transferring everything from the old weldment to the new one.
Oh, okay.
Because the sand in Florida is so bad that it's constantly like sandblasting the inside, and it finally wore through. And I kept welding new metal over the top of it, but it got to the point where I couldn't even weld on it anymore because it was so thin. It was just burning away.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I was moving everything from one to the other one. So I ended up, I center punched it as close as I could and drilled it out. And it wasn't perfect, but it was good enough. And then I just retapped it and put a new bolt down through there.
Right on.
So it's fine. Now
Glenn's
nobody
always got a
dies.
backup plan.
You
Tony Ryan said Glenn Gun Show doesn't know his own strength. No, I was using an impact. I was using my little DeWalt 20 volt 3/8 drive and it just. I mean, chances are they probably over torqued it putting it in.
Well, and as we've learned, 2 wrongs makes a right.
That's right. But I like. I'm trying to think. I bought that lawnmower almost 10 years ago, and this was the first major problem that it's had. And it cost me under $400 for a new one. It took me 6 months to get it, but still cheaper than a new mower.
What kind of mower is it?
It's a Husqvarna.
Oh, really?
Husqvarna.
I had a Husqvarna or whatever you want to call it. I had it for a couple of years. I really didn't care for it. It wasn't like one of the higher end ones. But I don't know. I didn't like it near as much. So I ended up, I had, my wife doesn't watch this stream. I had a Honda mower and somebody hit it with a tree stump. And the crank wasn't ever the same after that. So I ended up with a Husqvarna because they were like $300 cheaper than a Honda mower at that time, and I never really liked it. So I gave up on that and went back to a Honda. But Honda had like a cheaper version for like MX or some sort of model number that was around $400, and it's been really good so far. So,
well, this one was about $2,400 when I bought it. It's a 48-inch deck, which I'd like a bigger one, but doesn't everybody want a bigger deck? But no, and it's got the Kohler 21 or 22 horsepower in it. So, and it's the hydraulic drive, the hydro drive.
Not hydrostat or whatever,
Yeah, hydrostatic. Yeah.
Cool.
Tony Ryan.
Well, and that's another thing too. Kohler makes like a really badass motor. So
yeah, well, again, I mean, it's been between the deck now and then batteries, but batteries always go bad in Florida because of the heat.
Yeah.
Tony Ryan had asked, "Oh, Glenn, do you watch any local YouTubers doing automotive stuff? Define." Oh no, I'm sorry, that was Brian. Define local, because I mean, there's people that literally live 15 minutes from here that I watch their stuff. So I guess yes, but there's a lot of automotive people in Florida. Florida's a good automotive hub for motorsports, but also for YouTube. So, except for that Derek Vice Grip Garage guy, he chose Tennessee. I'd ask him why, but he'd just say, "I don't know."
I don't know.
I got to catch up with Chuck. Talk to him for a while. He's doing well.
Good.
He's a cool guy and awful helpful.
Yes, I like Chuck.
Chuck's the best.
Not like his brother Upchuck. That guy just ruins everything.
I should reach out to Chuck, because when I first started Fun King Garage, he had reached out to me and asked me if I wanted some feedback, and I'm always open to feedback. And so he had run some things to me and whatever. Well, then all of a sudden we didn't make another video for 9 months. And then now I don't hear from him, and I don't want him to think that he caused that.
Well, he did talk to me afterwards and asked, like, I gave him some feedback, and it doesn't seem to be doing videos. I said, well, Glenn is extremely sensitive about things, so.
Super, super thin skin. Local Maker Michigan said, you're just mad because he got 20-foot on you in the garage. Yeah, that does piss me off. I still hold the record in my neighborhood. That's all that matters. We have a fly-in neighborhood not far from here, just like 5 minutes down the road. And my building is bigger than their hangars. So, yeah. No, good on him for being able to expand. I do wish that I had the land that he has, but if I would have bought that much land, I wouldn't have been able to afford to put a house on it. So,
plus he's like, close to Detroit. I'm sure the property.
No, I meant we were talking about Derek from Vice Grip Garage, not.
Vice Grip Garage. I was like, because isn't Chuck what? Somebody was like saying the new building they had. I thought Chuck was like planning on doing another one too. I didn't know. Or well, he just recently moved to another building, I think.
Yeah, I don't know.
But anyway, Chuck's good.
Yeah, he's good people. Yeah, there's not many people in this community that rub me the wrong way. There are a few.
I can think of a handful.
There's that one guy.
The Chris Riley guy for sure.
Mm-hmm. I'm really hard to get along with. Ask everyone.
But no, I mean, overall, the community has always been, a good bunch of people. And it's like the people that aren't, they don't get welcomed in and they don't stay long. So even if they're super persistent, they eventually just go away.
Yep.
I saw someone that put up, somebody that we used to watch their videos, put up a video, and it was like, if this is how you feel about things, if you're fine with this, then like unsubscribe for me. And then Joel responded to the video with, okay, I'm respecting your wishes. I've unsubscribed from you. And they're like, no, Joel, wait, please don't leave.
No, it's the 5 years or whatever it's been now has been an amazing roller coaster of, I mean, not only getting to watch my YouTube career, let's say that lightly, but watching the other people come and go, like the people who didn't make it. Not saying that I've made it, just saying, like the people who release like 10 videos and then you never hear from them again because they realize it's a crap ton of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier if you have somebody else to do your editing for you.
It's true. A lot easier. Do you guys remember Making with Luke?
I do.
Yeah.
He was at Murph. I got to talk to him.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's working for some outfit. He told me what he did, and it was like blah blah blah. I make rockets, and I'm super smart, so I didn't know what he was talking about. But that kid's always like, well, all you got to do is the math, because he's super super nice. But he comes at me with stuff that's like, I don't even know what you just said, but I'm sure it's smarter than what I got. I love that kid. I really do. But
so I'm going to tell a story that's gonna make me sound a little like stuck on myself, but I promise I'm not, and we'll get to all that in a minute. But like, so I started my computer career in the early 90s. Back when computers they definitely weren't what they are now. Things were a lot harder to work on and stuff, but for whatever reason, I really took to it. I took to it really well, and I couldn't I
I
couldn't.
know why. You enjoyed sliding the beads from one side to the other.
Pretty much, yeah. It was all those. It was setting all those jumpers that I really truly enjoyed.
I tried to explain jumpers to somebody the other day, and they just weren't getting it. It's like, how would you know what to say? Well, there'd be documents, and it's like, if you've got this front side bus and this multiplier and this voltage, then you set these jumpers to this.
Yeah,
And it's
and
like,
if you lost the motherboard book, you might as well
yeah,
just throw it in the garbage. You'll
yeah,
never
'cause
figure it out.
yeah, up until like the early 2000s, it wasn't easy to find any of this documentation. So your best bet was to like try and find contact information for the company and call them and see if they could send you a photocopy of the book.
Yeah, exactly. But so through the years, like I just kept, like my boss, I had my yearly evaluation one year, and they were like, well, we want to evaluate you for a raise and stuff, and they'd offered me a pretty decent raise, and I actually turned it down and said, instead of more money, because really it was going to push me into the next tax bracket, I said, instead of more money, I want a monthly book allowance. I want to be able to go to the store and spend a certain amount of money on computer books, because that was a thing. You had to buy computer books. You couldn't just look crap up on the internet.
That's true.
And so like I was just buying every computer book I could get my hands on to learn more and learn more and learn more. So now getting into the good part of the story, I was sitting in a Pizza Hut. You guys remember what Pizza Hut is? And like back when they had like the red cups and a Pac-Man table.
Yeah, Pac-Man.
Yeah. And
I don't know if you know this, but I kind of like arcade games.
Yep. So we're sitting, there's three of us sitting at the table. I'm sitting with two friends of mine who were both Toyota technicians at the time, but one of them was into computers, like hobby-wise. And he and I are just rattling things back and forth computer-wise. And we look over at our other friend, Tim, and he's got this blank look on his face. And he says, I have no idea what you guys are even talking about. It is completely foreign. And we weren't talking high level stuff. We were just talking about basic stuff, just general computer things. Now we were probably talking about modems at the time, because I think the 14.4 baud modem had just come out. So there you go. There's your timeline right there. And because my friend Steve had gotten a 14.4 and I still had a 9600 baud, and he was kind of making fun of me. But Tim just had no clue what we were talking about. And I couldn't understand why Tim didn't understand. Like, I couldn't understand why he was so blank, because I had never had a conversation with somebody where they were talking things and I couldn't comprehend what they were talking about, because I'm smart. And then I watched a show, like years later, I watched a show where they were talking about the space-time continuum and how space is shaped like a donut. And the guy went on, it was like 30 minutes of this guy going on. And I looked at my wife and I said, the only word I understood out of that was donut.
And
Like,
then he headed over to Duncan.
Not a freaking clue what that guy said. And all of a sudden it struck me, like it took me back instantly to that moment. And I went, that's how Tim felt. So, and it's not that I'm like so super smart that I understand everything. I don't hang around with people smarter than me.
Oh, I want to throw an insult out there, but I don't want to insult you. You just left it so open.
Recently, I guess it's like due to advertisements or whatever. Recently, I've had a couple people ask me if they need a VPN. And I'm like, and I said, well, what might you be doing on the internet?
Well, I mean, the short answer to that question is yes. I mean, everybody should have a VPN.
It's just like, how far would you like? I mean, you've probably been on the internet now for, I don't know, a long time. All of a sudden, do you think you're really going to stress the security limits of what you've been doing all this time? Probably not.
Right. Like, have you picked up any new hobbies lately that
are you sharing information with anyone that you're concerned about? But it's just one of those random questions, because I've been using VPN for as long as they've been around, with different companies or whatever. But it's like one of those random questions that I would not expect to come from a normal person. Like, like you're a non-computer person and you're asking me about VPN. It's like, what do you know?
Right, but it definitely comes down to the advertising because I mean we live in a time where the internet is so insecure and there's data breaches all the time and stuff and like they're constantly pushing that. Oh, so and so's getting sued again because of data breach, and then all of a sudden these advertisements come up and they're like, do you use the internet? Then you need a VPN, and I won't pick on Nord. I mean, the company that advertises a lot. I mean, if you travel, like if you're a world traveler, it'd be great to have a VPN like that so that you can access your stuff, like your Netflix and while you're out traveling but yeah, I mean, if you're looking up some grocery coupons and checking your email, yeah, you don't really need a VPN.
Probably not going to stress all of the advantages of your VPN there.
Yeah, I have a VPN that connects me to my office so that I can work like I'm local.
Yeah.
But I had to modify the crap out of it because it was channeling all my internet connection through there. And their connection is so slow. So like I had to make it where only that goes there, but
a lot of the questions that I've seen, like it's not so like so there's one side, right? Like, okay, VPN, it's going to save me from the bad people on the internet. Okay. So that's one side of things. The other side is, how can I avoid blackouts when I'm watching my sports network by using this VPN?
Yeah. I mean, most of the people I know that got access to VPNs, it was so they could access Netflix from different regions from the comfort of their own home.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that way you can watch stuff that like isn't released in the US. You can.
Yeah.
There was another service that because it originally Netflix decided what your region was based on where your resolution request came from. So you could change your DNS information. And since the DNS resolution happened wherever, it would, like if it was in the US, it would show US content. So there's a company that took advantage of it. It was like $15 a year to use their DNS server. And you just punch it to it. And then there's an interface you go to on their website to change where you want it to resolve from. Well, then Netflix goes and fixes that you can't do that anymore, right? So everybody goes and cancels the service. So I had the service. I wouldn't cancel it. And like to cancel, go through the canceling, it directs you to an online chat first. And they're like, well, what if we offered you 6 months for free? I'm like, the service doesn't work anymore. Oh, well, what if we were to offer you this and this? And what if we were to offer you the next 3 years? At this time, like the service doesn't work anymore.
Like, you can give me 1,000,000 years. I'm not going to use it.
Yeah. It's like calling me like, oh yeah, my rental water heater just died. It's not producing hot water. Oh, sorry to hear that. What if we gave you 50% off for the next 6 months? I'm like, I'm not getting hot water though. Oh, I understand. Well, what if we gave you a year at 75% off? I'm not getting hot water.
What if we gave you stickers for the outside? No, I have access. I have access to a VPN based out of France as well, but I've never used it for anything. I don't like French TV.
I thought you were gonna make a joke about something retreat.
Something retreat.
Oh, that's all the jokes. Yeah.
Because it's French. No.
Yeah.
Oh,
so I should probably show off because I designed a lot of that circuit board on that stream.
right.
So the circuit boards are here. I'm gonna go full screen for myself again. I don't need to be full screen for the whole whatchamacallit, but
Andy said, I just started using VPN so I can watch the American TV section on Pluto TV. I think that's really what most people use VPNs for.
Yeah.
Yeah, that board turned out really nice.
it's
I see a copyright infringement on there, but
oh no, it's a pie chart about how long it'll work for, and these dots are unrelated.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's got like 75% uptime, so it's like the pie chart. It's like you can use it 75% of the time.
Well, and then those dots are each representative of 25%.
Exactly. Yeah. So
it's a pie chart and a dot chart.
And there we go. It's good. I tried to put my logo onto it. It didn't turn out, and I got too frustrated to keep going with it. Like the whole board was designed, and I spent 2 hours trying to get my my logo down to a vector graphic that it could then draw onto the board, and it didn't work. I'm like, you know what? I don't care. I'm just gonna put it in text. This isn't even a functionality thing at this point. I hate you.
I don't know anybody else that's like that either. Like I don't know anybody that puts their logo on freaking everything.
Actually, if you zoom in on the head on Glenn's shirt, it's actually got a Fun King logo in the middle of that, and then if you zoom into the head on that one, it's got another one.
You just keep going in and in and in. Yeah.
So around that board, I designed this controller. So it's powered by one of those, and the board has the ability to switch between emulating a gamepad, a keyboard, a mouse, and I'm going to add some additional functionality into it. And the OLED display here will display what mode it's currently in and put custom messages and stuff up there.
What filament is that green?
It is I think printed solid. I don't remember what the color is called though, but it's almost like a terracotta green. It's a little bit lighter in person than it is on the on the
I like it.
There's limer green, which I believe is that one, and then there's tree green, which is the darker one, and then there's Slimer green that has the glitter in it. So
okay,
I think that's the lime green stuff.
I guess it's not very light, although you can tell the difference between the green game joystick and this here. Yeah, I guess it's pretty limey.
You should totally unscrew that joystick ball off of there and 3D print one so it's the same color.
I could, but then the grip wouldn't be very. Although, like, to be honest, this is one I built specifically so I can show it on the video. This is a step towards that other big project.
Right.
But I felt the need to split it into 2 videos so I can have one about building the board and programming it, and then the other one
milk content anytime you can.
Yeah. And then the cool thing I did for this one too is I did a header off the back, because all my other joysticks up until now have had the cable just hardwired, and you tie it off on the inside, hang out. So this one I bought a USB-B to micro USB adapter to go into the Pico on the inside, which has the added advantage of taking less or putting less wear and tear on the connector on the Pico.
Yeah.
So, and I designed it so this will print on an Ender 3 or bigger. So it's 215 on the widest.
Yeah, those USB-B ports take a lot of abuse.
Yeah, and I mean it's only 4 pins and they're thick pins. So
cool.
But yep.
Dan said, is it feta green?
Oh, it is feta green, I think.
Is it?
That name sounds familiar. I don't know.
There's something wrong with this community.
Is feta green something else?
No, just the fact that like somebody can watch a stream on YouTube and be like, "Oh, that's."
Dave pays me to memorize the prints on a catalog, so.
Chris asked.
So now you work for Prusa then?
Yeah. Don't tell Joe because he'd fire me.
So I think the thing is, it might have been because like I'm thinking he said feta green. I think that might have been the name of one of the like almost like the mixtape ones or whatever. But I could be wrong. I'd have to go down and look at the roll.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Chris Lane asked, "Did you get any more feedback about the board, James? What is the cost estimate?"
So I ordered them through PCBWay, and it's just one of their standard $5 for 5 boards deals, plus the cost of shipping. It's not an overly complex board. I got a little bit of feedback on the design in terms of the way I ran some of the traces and stuff like that, but everything works on it, so I'm not too stressed on it. I do want to add some additional stuff. One thing that I did that I would have changed if I had spent a little more time thinking about it. So down this side is, let's see, you can see it says up, left, down, right, and then up to 12 buttons. Some joysticks have a 5-pin connector. So you've got ground and then the 4. So I think I'd also, if I do another revision, include a connector that's that 4 pins. Because right now the joystick I'm using is a 5-pin one, and I have to use male to female cables to connect it to that.
Yeah, but I mean, there's just no way to ever plan out and say, okay, this is the one, like I'm going to make it fit this connector, because not all of them have the same connector. So, I mean, at some point you're going to have to take what you can get.
But I mean, it is iterative too. So like, if I decide to do the revision and add that type of stuff, I would order some with my next like other order that I'm already paying for shipping on.
Yeah.
It's funny you said 75% uptime. I don't like to tell like work stories. Like I try to be very vague about work stories because there are a lot of folks that from my work that watch my content. So you never know who's going to stumble in. But so I work on the mainframe, right? And like one of the biggest things about the mainframe is you get 5 nines of service, right? That's how much uptime you get. So it's 99 point and then 5 nines. And somebody I'm just going to say somebody made a comment to me not too long ago. Well, what if we only needed 4 nines? And I was like, what? I understand that like 5/9 calculates to like a number of hours in a year or whatever. I understand that, but it's not like a menu. I don't want to buy that extra 9.
Well, 9s are getting kind of expensive with the economy the way it is right now.
Well,
So
I guess. But I don't know. It just cracked me up. Like, nope, only 4 for me.
well, and it's funny too because coming out of the professional world, when I first started running my own servers in the house, I was always crazy about like uptime. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna reboot this thing, and it's like there's patches. I need to run these. This is my server. Like, it's not gonna hurt anybody if I shut it off.
But then it's like losing the high score. You guys spend all that time rebuilding to it.
Yeah, whatever.
Their entire. Are you guys familiar with a game that was popular in like I think the late '90s called, or maybe early 2000s, called Progress Quest?
No.
It is an RPG that completely plays itself. Other than you building, like deciding what your character is at the beginning, it's literally just progress bars that fill, and it'll display like text like going out to the hunting fields, and then it has like random names or creatures and stuff like that. So you encounter an orcish hen and you attack it, and like, oh, you're injured, you have to go back, and literally just the longer it runs in the background, the more progress you made. And that's it. So the bragging rights is who's had it running the longest to build the character up the longest.
Well,
And
isn't that what SETI was all about back when everybody was running SETI? Was just how many hours that you were crunching data?
except for this does nothing good for anybody.
Well, I don't think SETI did either.
One April Fools, they're like, oh, we've actually been working on a new engine for the game to give it graphics and stuff like that. So we're releasing a 3D mode. So you download the new client, and then there's a checkbox to enable 3D mode, and all it did was add shadows behind the progress bars. I would imagine they even released an online version, because originally it was just like it just had a DAT file on your hard drive, and that's how it did it. But they eventually released an online version so you could play against other players.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Hey, Carl came up with the math. Let him have the 52 minutes.
I couldn't find the feta green on Printed Solid site, but the name sounds very familiar. I'm almost positive that that's what it was called. So
Mike said the mainframe's down. Remember that 9 you wanted to save?
Well, unfortunately, that's going to be at some point the reality. I'm going to turn to someone. Remember that 9 we talked about?
You ever been like accidentally responsible for downtime, and then like you're watching stuff happen after you've committed whatever change you've put forward, and you're just like, what? And you can't do anything. Like it's just like you got to wait for all the dominoes to fall before you start putting them back up.
I went out on a job, it was a new client, and I was out there doing a consultation to see if we wanted to take the business, and they had a Linux server, which is why I was elected to go. And it was for a service contract for the whole company, and it's a large company that probably a lot of us have worked with, whether we know it or not. And I'm not going to mention their name, but if you've ever bought nuts and bolts, somehow you've gone through this company. But I go out and I'm walking around with the owner of the company, and he said, "Oh, well, let me show you the server." And he unlocks this door. It's in a locked room, which was really nothing more than a closet with a telecom rack at the back of it with a shelf and a clone PC sitting on there. But that was their Linux server. And we walk in and he's like, "Oh, this is the Linux server." And he's like, this is all of our network equipment and stuff. And when we're standing in the room, the machine died.
No.
Didn't touch it. He didn't touch it. I didn't touch it. And I looked him dead in the eye and I said, "Thank God you were in the room when that just happened." Because like if I would have gone in there like, "Oh, here's the server, go ahead and check it out," and then I get in there and start poking around just to see what it is, and then it dies, guess whose fault it is? But we did immediately get hired to get them back online because they were completely dead in the water.
Without getting too far into anything that is like trade secret or whatever, I was implementing a change that was going to affect one machine. And ordinarily I would do a full say investigation to make sure that it is in fact only going to hit those ones, but I was very confident that was the case. And essentially what happened is a certificate had changed or expired from the last time I had done one of these tests up until the point that it was time to deploy. So even though the change I put in only targeted one machine, it was like, "Oh, here's 25 machines that don't have the proper thing, so I'm just going to push this and reset them in the middle of the day." So I'm staying there and it's like doing it just starts listing off the stuff it's doing and I'm like, "Why?" Kate comes in, she's like, "Is everything okay?" I'm like, "I don't know why it's doing what it's," and then it took me 30 seconds to figure it out. And then I start getting the messages from people like, "Hey, this just happened. Hey, this just happened." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to fix it. Maybe leave me alone for a little bit." Luckily, it was like 4:00 on a Friday. So the majority of people that would have been affected by it weren't affected by it. And things were down for like 8 or 9 minutes. It wasn't but I was just like, I feel bad if anybody was in the middle of doing something with these resources, because how can I blame this on Chris Riley?
You must work where I work.
Wait, are you a DBA? You always blame it on the DBA.
No, we have a finger pointing game and it goes in order, right? And I blame it on networking. They blame it on firewall. And then firewall usually blames it on F5 for load balancing, and then it comes full circle back to the, well, obviously it's your end.
No, the greatest thing that I've done IT wise with my current job is putting in that help desk software. Because my direct boss had called me and he said, "How's that going?" And I said, "It is the most amazing thing I've done. It has cut my IT workload in half." And he's like, "Really?" And I said, "Yep." Because people send me requests and I send them back a message that said, "You need to open a ticket," and I never hear from them again.
It's the quickest way to get rid of somebody.
Like it's really like they email me. They could just email the help desk and it takes care of the ticket for them. But no. Dan said, "I want out of my IT job." Most IT people want out of their IT job. It's very stressful and people don't understand that.
Well, if it's anything like my IT job, it's like I want out, but they just keep pulling me back in.
Yeah. When I had my own computer company years and years ago, in fact, it was the building that where my wife worked when we met. Like she was a client. She worked for one of my clients. That's how I met my wife. But I was in the elevator on the way to the second floor. I had to run out on this emergency support call because the guy broke his mouse and I had to run him out a brand new mouse. And I'm in the elevator going to the second floor and I look at this mouse and I thought to myself, this is the stupidest thing that I could be doing. And I don't want to do it anymore. And it was like that moment I decided I didn't want to be in computers anymore. So, but here I am back around to it.
Yeah.
Duff said, "Left IT for commercial roofing, never been happier." Well, obviously you don't do it in Florida. you would run back to IT.
So I've been trying to fix an issue with my prints. and I posted the picture to some friends, and each one of them had advice on how to solve the issue with my print. So I implemented all 3 of them at the same time, and it didn't change anything. So whenever I'm printing something like this empty control panel, you can see it's nice, like it's there's a solid top to it, and then it goes to the hollow part, right?
All right.
Well, if you look at the side, you can see exactly where that happens.
Yeah.
And it's on basically any print that's like that holotype thing. And so I made the modifications that were suggested to me. And the first round, as you can see, changed nothing.
Huh.
So, and here's the thing, this happens on all of my printers. And like occasionally I get a little bit more of that because like if it lifts ever so slightly on one side, you end up with that extra line where it's compressing. But this is all the way around, and it's specifically on this type of print. So
That's interesting, and it does it on all your printers.
yeah,
So it's obviously a setting, like a slicer setting.
But it also does it on Prusa and on Cura.
And is if you were to download, if you were to go to Thingiverse, not that anybody goes there anymore, and download a model that's like that and print it, does it do that to that model too? I mean, maybe it's a Fusion 360 thing.
So the bump doesn't show in the slicer though.
Well, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, but I mean, if it was a model issue, then I would assume that. Oh, give me 2 seconds. I just got to turn off my camera. Kay's walking around behind. She doesn't want to be featured on camera just yet.
Just yet. Not until after dark.
That's on the OnlyFans. Did you hear?
No,
oh, that's on the OnlyFans, and she in the background. What? Anyways, so that's where I'm running into. I'm going to continue to try and make the adjustments. I had Tom from Tom Filament Frenzy trying to help me out. So I'll get back to him, but it was just interesting because like if somebody else was like, "Oh, I've had the exact same thing, and all I had to do was light my printer on fire," then I'd go light my printer on fire.
It's just weird. So all right, let's look at this differently. You have multiple printers; they all do it.
Yep.
I also have multiple printers, and none of mine do it.
And I'm assuming you've printed something that is of similar design.
Oh yeah, I like Raspberry Pi cases and all kinds of stuff, all kinds of electronic enclosures.
If it wasn't such a large casing for me to send off, because this is one of the smaller ones I've got right now, that I was going to try and find somebody else to reprint it, but it's going to use like a quarter of a roll of filament.
Well, I mean, if you took it and just sliced a corner out of it,
that would probably do the same thing, I would imagine.
Yeah, like and then you could send that to, like you could send me a copy or whatever, and I could try it and see if it does it for me.
Alan King's pointing out one of the things I was suspecting. He's saying boxes can do that. The wall thickness can cause issues because all this sort of tensions up as it prints and stuff like that too. So it's not as bad in person as it is on camera. But I'd like to, when I'm showing off designs and stuff, I don't like them to have imperfections because I feel like everybody's judging me for it. So
be retroactive, Mr. Retrospective. When you design it, put a little indent, like a decoration indent around the box right there.
I have gotten away with doing that in the past by like on a similar box by basically creating like a lip. So like the top's lipped in and then
yeah. So it's got like a little chamfer or whatever in there.
It just doesn't look as cool. And that is also coming off of one of these chamfers. So I wonder if the chamfer had gone down a little bit further than the separation, if it would have eaten some of that.
So how far from the level plane is that artifact? Like so you're printing a flat plane.
Yeah, it's basically where the level plane disappears, where the flat plane disappears, and it goes to just being like an 8 millimeter wall or whatever all the way around.
I think a lot of and it seems like it's really bad on shapes like that. And a lot of people are now like 4, 5, 6 top layers. Right. Yeah. The slicers are starting to increase that a little bit, trying to get things to look better. It's not a bug, it's a feature. I think a lot of that is the stored up heat in the filament. Like when now you're trying to go to a small layer, you're moving faster, you are cooling it, but like when you're laying it on that finished deck, it starts to make it bow a little bit. I've experimented with that a little bit, like reducing flow rate at that point, and you can kind of get rid of it, but it is definitely a challenge.
Well, isn't there a setting somewhere in the slicer too that has something to do with where your infill stops versus the perimeters?
Well, there are settings for like overlapping infill into perimeters and stuff like that to create better bonds. Obviously, there's settings for setting it so it does infill before perimeters, which generally gives you a tougher print, but also the infill pattern can then be visible outside.
Right.
Trying to think. There's also a reduction of flow on the top layer, so you can say like, you're doing a 4 millimeter or 0.4 millimeter line, but then change it to 0.38 to basically, like Chris is saying, lower the flow rate in the top. Questions in chat, so I might as well. So this is 1.2 millimeters, so three perimeters and 15% infill on the whole thing. So.
Well, Brian said, I think it's a good idea would be to send the file to a couple. But Brian, the file is huge. That's a whole roll of filament right there.
It's about a quarter of a roll. It's about 200 to 250 grams of material.
That's a big print to ask people to just.
Yeah, I think it's not coming down to so like a slicer setting may fix it, but I don't think it's anything about the way the slicer's interpreting it. I highly suspect that it's along the lines of what Chris is saying, where there is a change to how much time the filament has to cool, because there's a change in the actual geometry of the print it's doing.
But,
so it goes from.
But how come it happens to you and I've never had that happen to me?
Maybe you've never printed anything like this.
Maybe I've never printed anything.
It's the same effect that causes the water line on the benchy. If you've ever experienced that.
Yeah.
That's the
yeah,
same
right where the deck is.
Yep.
Well, this is weird. I usually have a benchy sitting here and I don't have one. I still haven't moved everything out here.
So Brian's saying maybe all my printers are extrude. I think there would be more imperfections in the print in total than just one line if it was a strictly like printer not calibrated.
Well, yeah, and what's the chances that they're all going to be over extruding exactly the same?
Yep.
I think we should solve this, make a video, and be done with it.
So I've tested on the Mark III's. I've had it on a different print on the Mark III, on the Prusa Mini, a couple of CR10s. Trying to think if there's been anything else mixed in there. But yeah, Tony Ryan's also, as he's saying, I could actually go slower for at least for the perimeters and stuff. Give stuff a little bit more time to cool as it goes.
Yeah, that's always a hard choice to make when it's a big print, though, because of the amount of time that it's already going to take.
Yeah, the last one already took 24 hours to print for something that's not. I mean, it's not small, but it's not huge. It's 215 by 150, and
yeah, I was at the big box home store yesterday and walked down the electrical aisle because I need to get some wire to run a dedicated 20 amp outlet for this monster, and I seen how much electrical wire costs right now, and I went, yeah, no.
Do you have the same experience? Maybe I've already complained about this because it's been like going on for a year. Do you have the same problem I have? You can't get nail up boxes?
No, I didn't. I'm trying to think the last time when I bought a nail up box, but
for like 6 months, you couldn't find one nail up box anywhere.
Well, probably because they all come out of China, and
yeah, but it's crazy. It's like, those things are like worth 5 cents.
Yeah, yeah. But see, I have a whole crap ton of them sitting out there. Because when I go to do a project, I always buy a couple extras just in case you misguide your hammer a little. they don't take to that very well. So, like, if I'm doing a small project, then it doesn't really matter. I got a couple that I can grab.
Well, for once in my life, I was actually trying to do the project correctly and not reuse all the boxes. But, that kind of went out the window. But.
Yeah. 3D print one. No, that wouldn't be code. You
Yeah.
can't do that.
I ended up using metal boxes and just running conduit for most of it.
Yeah.
There was a few that I could have saved some money on nail out boxes, but I was like, never mind. I'll just run it all conduit.
Carl says you can just 3D print one. Problem solved. Sure that'll
Yeah.
pass code.
That's what I said. Yeah, that wouldn't pass code.
Sorry, I was reading up on chat and may have missed part of what you said.
That's fine.
There you go. 220, 221, whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. Well, I just like so I have a very large amount of electricity that comes into this building. I have 200 amps of service just for this garage, which is more than enough for me. The problem is I built this apartment, and there are certain things that, like, you have to have a dedicated outlet for the bathroom. You have to have a dedicated outlet in the kitchen. You have to have like this. And so it used up a whole lot of space in the breaker box, even though it doesn't take up a whole lot of the amperage. Right. So like I have to kind of be careful the way that I do it. And I've been trying to evaluate like where I can tap a 20 amp outlet off of to get it over here. And I may just end up running through an extension cord. Just temporarily, though, no long term. But I have access to the other side. The other side of this wall does not have drywall on it. It's insulated, but it doesn't have drywall on it currently. So I have access that I can get in there real easy to put a 20 amp outlet on this wall. So that, because that's the reason that I haven't even fired up the FK1 since I moved it out here. And to be honest with you, it's kind of a low priority project. There's a lot of other places that my time and monies are going to. But 12-2 wire right now is like right about $1 a foot, and I'm gonna need about 50 feet of wire, and I just don't know if it's worth it. So that's why they make those new half height breakers. I can't say that I don't use those, but I don't use those. I have one. All right, so this garage, there's a electrical panel right outside this door, and then that's got a sub panel running down the building because I didn't want to have to run everything from here. That would have gotten very costly. So I come from the house into this sub panel, from this sub panel to that sub panel, the sub panel. But that panel down there does have one half breaker for the lighting circuit, but that's only because the lighting circuit is a 20 amp. It's a 20 amp circuit, and I'm only using like 12 amps of it. So I figured I'd get by with that. The other one's probably only using like 6 amps. Till I put in more lights. You can't have enough lights.
You can't have enough lights. But the problem I had was I have all these fluorescent lights that I hate to get rid of. You know, because like when you buy fluorescent bulbs, you have to buy like 40 of them at a time, right?
Right.
And some of them last
a week. An arm and a leg.
Right. Some of them last a week and some of them last 18 years. And so I have all these fluorescent lights and then all these LED lights. And as you probably know, if you mix them, you got a problem. So yeah, well, I'm in the middle of that right now.
I went for a long time without proper lighting in the garage just because, one, I couldn't come up with what I wanted, and two, I couldn't afford to do it. So then I finally spent the money and put up the 8-foot T8 fixtures with the 4 fluorescent bulbs. I put up, let's see, two wide, so 16 feet of light. 2, 4, 6. I put 8 of those in one 20 by 40 bay. And like my neighbor made fun of me because it was so bright in there. And he's like, do you really need that much light? Well, here's the problem with fluorescents. They run for 10 years and you think they're still doing great until you put a new bulb in and you realize how gray the old ones are. Well, I went even worse because I put LED high bay lights in there now, and it's like working on the sun. And then the rest of them are all like this dingy gray.
I was thinking about this the other day. My brother-in-law is a mechanic. He's like, he's probably like 8 years older than I am. And I was like 16, 17. I just got done waxing my car out in the driveway, right? Looked real good. I mean, it was like, oh man, it's black paint, nice and shiny. Everything looked good. He's like, pull it in the garage.
It's
And you get it under the fluorescent lights. This thing looked like crap. You can see every swirl mark, every bit of orange peel. And that was my first experience with that. I cussed him for quite a while after that.
Did you two ever watch the show Malcolm in the Middle?
Yeah.
There's an episode where Lois is walking out with her like lunch and she trips over something and she drops it onto the carpet. And like she sighs and whatever, and then she gets down her hands and she comes out with all the cleaning stuff and she scoops up the mess and then she scrubs the carpet and pulls out all the stuff. And then she gets up and looks, and the part where she's cleaned is this giant white spot and the rest of the carpet is gray. And she looks around, sighs, takes a handful of soil and starts working into it to blend it out. Like that is the definition of work smart, not hard.
You don't want to make a clean spot.
No. You got to pick your battles very carefully.
When I was, I think 6 or 7, I accidentally knocked over one of my mom's plants, and it was on carpet. So I scooped up the soil and packed it all back in. But then there was still soil on it. So me and my brilliant brain decided, the best way to get this out is to get it wet, and then I can absorb it with. My mom comes, she's like, "If you had just vacuumed it," and it took her like 2 hours with ProSolve and stuff to get the dark out of it. She's like, "All you had to do was vacuum it when it was dry. What would?" Because I'm like, I don't know. I just thought if it was wet, it would get absorbed into towels. The spot went from being like this big to like.
We had linoleum in our kitchen, and my sister had some friends over, and one of them had dropped a cigarette on the kitchen floor and burned the linoleum. And I knew that we had some extra linoleum up in the attic, and it had a pattern to it. So I very, very precisionally cut around where the burn was, and then I cut out a new piece to glue it in. It was so obvious. It never looked right. My mom said, "I would have rather had the burn mark on the linoleum."
I might as well walk through this design, I guess, real quick, since I whacked it out there real quick. So the pool has an 1.5 inch intake into the pump system, and I have a vacuum that has an 1.25 inch piece on it. And the problem is the vacuum's not filtered, and if I connect to the intake for the pump, it's not going through the filtration system, so it can't handle like hair and stuff like that. So I designed this piece. They interlock together. So this is the 1.5 inch side. This is going to the pump. And then this goes to the vacuum. And then the space in between is essentially a reservoir for it to hold all the junk and garbage. And then on the other side here, there's holes that are the same as the ones on the skimmer basket. So all the junk and stuff gets collected against here. The water goes through and I can take all the garbage off the bottom of the pool instead of having to like try and scoop it out with a regular net. And
what material are you printing that out of?
Oh, it'll be out of PETG for sure.
And that's what the old one was too?
Yeah.
And it's still holding up?
Yeah, it's been doing fine. It's just the old one, as you can tell, is like a quarter of the size.
Yeah.
So, and also it doesn't lock together. I tried to make it so it would clip together. If we take it out here, you can see there's like a groove and
so this doesn't go like on the wall of the pool. This is just like in line of the hose.
So the hose, basically I detach the hose from the bottom of the skimmer basket, connect it to this, and then the other side goes to the vacuum, and then we can push the vacuum around the bottom and it pulls up all the stuff.
Awesome.
So it's because like up until now, basically it's like we're out there running circles in the pool to get the water doing a spiral. Yeah. And it gathers all the junk in the middle, and then you go down with the net, and you try and scoop up as much as you can, and you get a little bit of it, and then you do the same thing. Our neighbors must think we're nuts because we're just out there just running circles, then hang it on the side.
We did that in Cub Scouts when I was younger. We were at a den meeting, and it was a swimming day, and she had an above ground round pool, and all of us kids were going around and around, creating this magnificent like water spout. What do you call it when it goes down? Regardless. And then like one kid would jump into the middle and he'd spin around the pool. Like it completely blew the sides of the pool out.
We had 4 friends that used to live near us, so there'd be 6 adults in the pool. We do that just for fun. We same thing, acting like kids. And the one time we got it going so hard, and then one of the guys slipped, and he couldn't get his footing back on her, and he swung around and hit the skimmer basket and broke the mounts for the skimmer basket because he hit it so hard. He couldn't get his feet. He's just going around the restaurant trying to keep the balance and trying to keep out of his way. And
Vortex. There you go. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a good time was had by all until the pool blew out. I mean, we were in the pool when it blew out, so like we also blew out.
Children everywhere.
Oh yeah. There was probably, I don't know, 20, 25 of us in that pool.
Nice. Speaking of children, how are the kids, Glenn?
They're doing well. So Xander will be 16 very soon, September.
Wow.
He's started to drive a little bit now. He hasn't been real anxious. I don't know why. Like maybe he's the milkman's kid. I don't know, because I was driving when I was like 12, but no, he started to drive. Zach's doing good too. Unfortunately, he's going in the footsteps of his brother though. Like it's all about video games now.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're both getting quite big. But neither one of them can I get them out in the garage. Now, when I started telling Xander about Sick Week and going on this big adventure and 5 days and 5 tracks and car shows, and he said to me, he goes, "Well, if there's anything I can do to help," and I'm like, "Hell yeah, there is." There's always stuff going on. No, I said to him, if I could just get him out there to even swing a camera once in a while, so that the camera's not always on a tripod. But no, he was streaming. He streamed for a couple hours today, I think starting at about noon, but I don't know. He gave up Twitter or Twitch and went back to YouTube's.
Why did he decide to do that? Is it because he had a larger following on YouTube?
I think that he was getting more audience on YouTube, yeah.
I saw he was live not too long ago, and I didn't have time to harass him, but I meant to, but I didn't.
Yeah, he's been going live like every day for the last few days now. So, I mean, he might as well. He's up there playing video games anyway. So
might as well try and get to the point where he can make a little money off of it.
Mazel, yeah.
Yeah. I was just waiting, like I get on there and I harass him in chat. I'm just waiting for the phrase, "Oh, it's one of my dad's friends."
Well, it's really funny because he strives to keep the two worlds separate.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, even though when he was getting his start, I reached out on Twitter and I'm like, "Hey, he's getting his start. Can you guys give him a boost?" And most of you were kind enough to give him that boost so he could secure his name and stuff. But he doesn't want the two to cross over. And I think it's because he's embarrassed of our early stuff, I mean,
Right.
You figure he was a mere baby when we started, like,
Yep.
I mean, he was 10, so, and he doesn't want people going and seeing that now. And it's like, just, like, I don't know, grab hold of life for what it is, man.
Yeah. But in like 5 years, he's going to be saying, "I've been doing this since I was 10.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was 10 when I got on YouTube. You're a noob.
All of you are noobs.
He was playing the other day and he was yelling at this kid, and I'm trying to think what he was saying. But he was like, he kept going, dude, put on headphones. I can hear your speakers. Put on headphones. And like, I can't hear the other end of the conversation. I can only hear him yelling because he only sits like 20 feet away from me. And he's like, where are you streaming right now? Where on Twitch? And so then, I don't know. I went to do something and I came back and I said, "By the way, you're a jerk. And I hope that 5-year-old you were yelling at comes to get you." But I don't know. He needs a shtick, like the gamers that are well known. They all have that one thing about them, and like he just hasn't developed that character. Like he's gotta bring in what Peg Leg Paul is. Yeah.
He's been trying to do that with the whole Mr. Madden thing, I think.
Yeah, well, that's just his skit stuff, though. That's not his video game side of it.
But maybe that's the answer.
Yeah,
Maybe he needs
I'll
to adopt that personality as being himself.
just become Mr. Madden.
Yep.
He needs a parrot that wears an eye patch.
Well, he did change. He was up there cleaning his desk off, which caught me off guard the other day. I thought, what did you do wrong? Why are you cleaning your desk? But he had asked me if I had some RGB LEDs that he could hang up and stuff, and he moved the camera, so the camera's not like this now; it's over on this side of him, because where he sits, and I've given him the opportunity to move to where the old studio was, but he doesn't want to move out there. But and I mean, keep in mind out there, like the studio was here, and he sat just right there,
Right.
so he would only be moving just a little bit, but he doesn't want to. But directly behind him is my server rack and our laser printers and stuff. So it's like not a good backdrop. And I've offered to get him a curtain, and he doesn't want that. So I don't know. He'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Sanders 3D said, just own it. Exactly. Brian said, so he's losing interest in 3D printing. He lost interest in 3D printing right about the second episode of Xander's Thing Thursday. When I had to just constantly yell at him. Stop doing a bad job. But it's good. Zach and I haven't started working on anything because like he was just at camp for the week. He now has 2 weeks and then he's gone for another week. He's a busy guy. His schedule is even more busy than mine, but GoFundMe to buy Xander some loud Hawaiian shirts. For the longest time, he didn't want to be on camera at all, like with Peg Leg Paul. But really, we need a GoFundMe to buy Xander a haircut. But he's got this thing right now where he just wants to grow it out, and I'm letting him. I mean, I've been working on growing mine out for years.
I was gonna say, you're a good dad.
Well, I had crazy long hair when I was his age. My hair went to the bottom of my shoulder blades. Totally mullet, business up front, party in the rear.
Right on.
And then my mom wanted me to cut it and I wouldn't cut it. And so then my sister came to me and she said, let me just trim it up and then mom will be happy. Well, what I didn't know was my mom paid her to cut my hair off. And so she cut it all off. And so I haven't spoken to her since, and I was 16 at the time. No, that's not true.
You're a monster, Glenn, a monster.
I still have vivid memories of my dad. Now, remember, this is 1997, okay? My dad threw $5 at me and said, go get that cut off your head. Like 4 times in a row. I was like, $5 wouldn't buy anyone a haircut in 1997. One.
No, but if he keeps throwing money at you, good on you.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't gonna get it cut then. I knew he was gonna try to do it again.
Tony Ryan said, have you tried to comb forward? I have considered actually letting the back of my hair grow and do a ponytail. Because, like, I could just wear a hat all the time, and then it would just look like I have a full head of hair. And then it would be even more shocking when I took the hat off. I've never actually cared. I started going bald when I was early 20s, and I don't care. It doesn't. I can't see it no matter how hard I try. So I don't care. I always like when people have like crazy like a mohawk or whatever. I go, oh, that's the same haircut I have. And he said, my father was very strict, so never had long hair. Well, my dad was very bald like me, or I'm bald like him, whatever. But so I don't think he ever had long hair either, but I don't know. We all go through a phase. It doesn't hurt. I told him he's going to have to cut his hair to get a job, that nobody's going to hire him that way. But times are different now.
Yep.
Times they are changing.
Yeah, I don't know. Can companies make you cut your hair anymore?
I bet not.
I mean, like you could just walk in and say, you know, like I identify as a dude with long hair, and then I have to be like, okay.
When I started working somewhere, I had, I was already well into my career at that time, but somebody when I first started working at a job, somebody stopped me. He's like, you a Linux admin? I'm like, no. And he's like, well, you have long hair. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, you're a Linux admin. I was like, do the two relate? I mean, I don't get the joke. He's like, well, all of our Linux admins have long hair. I'm like, I'm sorry. I have no idea what to tell you.
It's because as you start to get that Linux knowledge in your head, it pushes your hair out longer.
I guess. I was like, what's this guy's problem?
Tony said, yeah, because old bald guy with a ponytail is not creepy at all. Yeah, whatever. No, I've never really cared. But I was telling James a couple weeks ago that, like, now that I'm doing my own editing and stuff, I found a few things that do bother me, and it shouldn't, but because I record myself now in 4K, even though I only upload in 1080p, I record myself in 4K. So as I'm editing, like I notice, like I have this hair that grows out of my ear right here, and I'll pluck it out, but it'll be back in like 3 days. It grows like almost to the point where you can just watch and see it growing. It's so bad. So like now I'm aware of it. Before I start filming, I'm like, okay, it's gone. Mike said Linux admins can't afford haircuts.
Maybe that's what it is. I forgot about that, James. You are a DBA. Do you know DB2 and IMS?
I know the basics of DB2. I moved out of the DB role a few years ago, but what was that?
We could use a couple of DBAs.
Can I work from Canada?
Yeah,
no,
sure.
you got to move to the States.
We're a global company. You can work from anywhere.
Are you working from home right now? Obviously, if I'm in Canada, I'm probably working from home, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what's been weird during the pandemic? I haven't applied for a job anywhere, but I've had multiple job offers during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Like people just reach out and being like, "Hey, how are you?" I'm like, "Good, how are you?" So we're hiring, and we can offer you this and this and this and this, and yeah, that's
my favorite job offer is when you call a vendor for help, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we'll research that. Hey, by the way, do you need a job?" like I need to fix my own problem at this point.
Yeah, it was about a year ago. I got a job offer from my listing on like monster.com or one of those. And I thought, I don't have a listing on there. Well, it was like super old, and it had just been sitting there. It hadn't even been updated. And these people are like, we're looking to hire. And I'm like, were you looking to hire that guy? Tony said, I know DBase 3.
There you go.
I'm quite fluent in Lotus 1, 2, 3.
If you need somebody to write a front end for you in QBasic, I can hammer that out pretty quick.
I was just earlier in the stream, I was thinking to myself, I remember going to the library as a kid and checking out books to teach myself GW Basic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I learned QBasic 1.0, then moved to 1.1, and then got to Quick Basic 4.5, which had the built-in compiler. And the first commercial piece of software I ever wrote was in Quick Basic 4.5. I built all these subroutines that would allow you to draw like overlapping windows and stuff, so that I didn't have to like try and build something for Windows so it would run on old computers. And Kayleen's parents owned a corner store, so I wrote a DOS-based piece of software that would keep track of their movie rentals and had a database for the movies and a database for the clients, and then linkings between them. Well, sorry, tables for the tables for the movies, tables for the clients, then tables to link everything together. But I did it the hard way. Like I didn't, because everybody's like, well, why didn't you just use Access to do that? I'm like, no, I just preferred to code everything from scratch by myself. Yeah. So then somebody approached me afterwards and like, hey, we saw that software that you've got running. Would we be able to license it to you from you for $200? And I was like 17 at the time. I'm like, yeah. And they're like, but we need a Windows version. So I learned Visual Basic 6 in a weekend and hammered it out and gave it to them. They used it for like 12 years before they retired it.
Wow.
They messaged like, there's been a change to the like Access of Information Act. We need to hide the credit cards. I'm like, well, there's no spot where you'd be able to add a credit card. And they've just been adding it to the notes field.
Oh my gosh.
So they're like, we need to hide. And I'm like, I don't have the source code for this anymore. Like, you paid a one-time licensing fee years and years ago. But yeah, I called it Movie Desk. Yeah. Every once in a while, I find a copy of it kicking around on an old CDR that I had burned back in the day to act as my backups.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I mean, if we're being honest, it was ass. I thought it was really good at the time, but if I was redoing it now, it'd probably take me 1/10 of the time and be 10 times better.
I probably couldn't program something to save my life nowadays.
Oh, it's like so confusing. I was gonna try to pick up a new language to start writing code again, and they don't even use like Go to 10 anymore. Mike said LinkedIn keeps sending me job postings proving that they don't know me because I don't even want the job I have, let alone another one.
Yeah. I'm telling you, my whole life is the movie Office Space.
Sounds like you got a case of the Mondays.
Yeah, I think that movie is a lot of people's life.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So what would you do?
Dilbert cartoons.
Yeah. What would you do? Nothing.
Jump to conclusions, Matt.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm going to need you to go ahead and come in on Sunday. Well, I'm going to need you to go.
I still probably once a week I'll tell somebody at work, it's like, I gotta go. I got a meeting with the Bobs.
How many of them get it?
Almost all of them by now. I've been working with them for like 17 years. So.
I couldn't imagine having a job that long. The job that I'm at now is probably the longest running job that I've ever had.
I've been in working for the same company for 14 years.
Oh.
But I've moved positions 3 times. Well, I've had 3 different positions. I've moved twice.
Yeah, see, that's when I worked for Best Buy. That's what kept me at Best Buy as long as I was there, was because I pretty much worked in every different department inside of Best Buy. And then when I used it all up, it was time to go.
Right.
But really, no, that came down to my direct supervisor was a chimpanzee, and I couldn't take it any longer.
Tell us how you really feel, though.
Oh my gosh. Like for 3 months leading up to the day that I actually quit, like it was kind of a running joke. People would be like, how are you today? And I go, today could be the day, like it was just a running joke. I would come in and the asset guy, the asset management guy at the door would be like, today the day? Oh, it could be the day, And so at one point, my direct supervisor, and I don't even remember what it was, but he did something, and I said, you know what? Today's the day. I've had enough. You'll have my letter of resignation tomorrow. And he's like, yeah, okay, whatever. And he walks off. And the next day I walked up, I came in and he came around the corner. And I said, oh, I got something for you. And I pulled it out and handed it to him. And he goes, what is this? And I said, you know what it is. And he immediately began to tremble. And it was like, that was it. And then I spent the next 2 weeks doing absolutely nothing. Like, I was just like hanging out, talking to the other employees, and they would come, what are you doing? Oh, I'm training. Okay. Like, I'd tie up one employee for like 2 hours. Tony said, I've worked for the present company since 1997, just a 2-year layoff in 2001 to 2003. Mike said 23 years. Carl said 37 years, and I never speak to my boss. Well, that's probably how you made it 37 years. I mean,
That's
isn't
a
that
good
what
way
they
to
say?
do it.
Like, it's generally a bad manager that makes an employee leave. So the people that own the company that I work for, the two owners are just amazing people, and I would do anything for those two. But the job has really started to wear on me. Construction is tough, mainly right now. I mean, everything is so volatile in price. Well, gentlemen, we have hit that 6:30.
We have indeed.
So that brings up the big question of the day.
Have anything to plug for this week?
Got anything to plug or promote?
Just my nose. Plug my nose.
Plug your nose.
It's been a long weekend of doing streams for me, so it's kind of it. This is
Taking advantage of the holiday weekend. It's a holiday weekend for you and I, Chris, but the Canadian, nope, no
Yes, it was.
independence for him.
It
No
was in
holiday
fact.
for him.
It was in fact a holiday.
Was it?
July 1st,
What is July 1st?
Canada Day.
And what is Canada Day other than, well, the Americans have a have a holiday on July 1st. So let's
You may have trouble believing this, but Canada was also founded.
it was not.
We just existed.
Canada came to be because the Americans were like, what are we going to do with that land over there? Well, let's send all the bad people there. No, that was Australia. But wait, that wasn't America. So July 1st. Okay, so Friday was your holiday.
Yeah, so we have the same long week. Well, we have a long weekend. They're just not the same one. You guys got the Monday. We got the Friday.
Yeah, they didn't. Ben D throwing down $5. Glad I could catch the stream. I'm glad you could catch the stream too. I appreciate the $5 Renos. Oh, I guess the Amazon truck has arrived. Yeah, I actually sent a message, an email on Friday, and I misworded it. The email that I sent, I said, "Are we off on Monday?" And I got a reply that said yes, because they don't tell me anything, being that I work from home and nobody else does. And then I responded back and I said, "My apologies. I meant to write, are you guys off on Monday?" Because I had no intention. Yeah, you know, Mike said double long weekend. I just realized that from now on July 1st, I identify as Canadian. And on July 4th, I identify as American.
Good call.
That's the way. God, that thing is really delayed. That was Ben's $5 coming across. But Prime Day starts tomorrow. Is that really true? Is it already?
I thought it was like the 12th or something. But
Yeah, I
maybe
thought it was
I'm
in the
wrong.
middle of the month. Because they send me tons and tons of emails about it so that I can send out my affiliate links. And I'm like, joke's on you. I send those out all the time. But dual citizenship is a thing. If you're a dual citizen, do you get to participate in both? It would depend on where your company is.
Yeah.
But
just because you observe it doesn't mean your company has to allow you to have the time off for free to observe it.
That's right. And absolutely no offense to our British watchers, but I'm really glad that we hightailed it away from you back in 1776. I don't know. There's a lot of people that are angry at America right now. I am not. I enjoy living here. I enjoy the state of Florida, other than the fact that it's 5 billion degrees outside. It has been a really hot year this year everywhere.
Yes,
but it's bad. I bought DeWalt makes. I love DeWalt. There's no question about that. But DeWalt makes a little job site fan. It's about, I don't know, 13 inches, and it runs on the 20-volt cordless battery. So I bought one of those. I'm going to figure out how to just strap that thing right to my chest so I can just walk around. Bless you. With this.
Said bless you.
Thanks, Glenn.
with the fan in my face. But Canada ditched the Brits too. Too bad they couldn't get rid of the French. So harsh.
I'm not commenting on any of that.
Well, Chris, do you have anything that you want to promote or plug? Or
No,
I know not a lot of people know who you are, so like advertise your channel or.
We made it through Murph. Now we got to prepare for Earth, and more videos. We'll work on some stuff. I don't know. I did kick around the idea of building a roller coaster in my backyard, but I don't know if I'm going to get funding for that or not. So, or licenses, but we'll see.
I actually kicked around that too. The PVC pipe roller coaster.
Yeah. We'll
But-
see. But yeah, nothing. Just glad I could be here. Thanks to both of you for having me.
Yeah.
Anytime.
And again, I mean, we keep saying it. Anytime you want to come on, you are welcome to. So
Glenn has made it clear to me that if you want on and there's not enough space, he'll just kick me.
there's a hierarchy around here. I might even kick me. Like you might be, hey, can I come on one time? And I'm like, sure. And then James and I aren't here.
It's just my show.
Yep.
I'll use the same background with the Chris Riley show, but I'll just slash through the Glenn guy. So, no, it is kind of a sad time because the fundinthecountry.basement.com is coming up for renewal, and I've opted to not renew it.
That is kind of
just
sad.
Like every once in a while, I gotta let URLs die off that's not really being used anymore. So it's kind of a sad thing, but it was a wonderful time in life, and it's just kind of the way it goes.
There you
So Nadav asked, is Volter still alive? Maybe that's supposed to be Walter.
Yeah, I talked to him not too long ago. He's doing all right.
Oh yeah, Country 3D. Okay, I thought Volter was a printer at first, and then I realized that was Walter. Yeah, I just talked to Walter on the phone the other night for like 2
cool.
hours. But yeah, he's doing all right. His studio, which was an RV, was then taken over by his daughter. His daughter has since moved out, but he doesn't know if he wants to set that back up as a studio. But otherwise, I don't have anything to plug. No video this week. It'll be next week again, every 2 weeks. If you haven't yet watched Fumman's episode, whatever it was, I think that was 6 that just came out. Do it. It was awesome. I hope it wasn't too long. It was like 30 minutes, but I didn't want to cut anything. It's pretty much real time putting the engine in. That's how long, that's all that it took to actually put it in. The coverage was good because I had a static camera and I had a Sean moving a camera. So, and you can definitely tell the difference because his is all like the focus and stuff is all artsy and mine's just like boom, and I didn't try to match them. It was fine. So, but I do appreciate all the feedback that I've been getting, good and bad. No, nobody's giving me bad feedback. So I'm just going to keep on doing what I'm doing. Otherwise, this is the point where I say thanks to each and every one of you for tuning in. Greatly, greatly appreciated. I do want to thank Ben D for throwing down the $5. I apologize. I didn't have a banner for you, or I would have thrown one in there for you. Sergio got the most airtime today, but it's always greatly appreciated that you guys support this horrible, horrible hobby that we have. And we do love each and every one of you. These streams would be senseless without you. And I don't know. Maybe we'll do it again next week.
Could be. Stranger things have happened.
I don't see why not. So until next time, as always, print on.
Print on.